You are still watching Sunrise at Sea, and we are discussing arming of traffic police officers. Is it something that you think that we need to adapt in Uganda, based on the fact that the president of Uganda, that is His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, did suggest that that is something we definitely do need to think about. However, the police spokesperson, that is Fred Enanga, came out to highlight and say that they do not have enough pistols to give every traffic police officer. But still, the United Nations did write a report and said that arrests do not show that actually security forces are working. The best way to know that security forces are working and that people are doing their job is that if crime is no longer an issue in a country. Well, joining me at the center of this conversation is a man I admire, and his name is Mr. Fred Egesa. He is a private investigator, a security expert and analyst, and fun fact, he was the first private investigator in the whole of East Africa. So I'm thinking he might have investigated some of your parents. Good morning,
Elopements.
Fred.
Good morning.
Elopements.
Yes. before they made a product called you. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning on this particular conversation. Yes. So we are discussing the arming of traffic police officers in Uganda. So the first question I would want to pose to you, do you think that this arrangement can smoothly work out in Uganda?
Okay, I'll start from somewhere. Okay. If we come up and say, Enang says we don't have enough pistol, you know, if it's a suggestion by the president, it's almost law. The president we can purchase pistols, so that does not in any way hamper the program. And of course, when the president comes up and talks about something and, you know, he's suggesting, that means this is in the pipeline, and eventually for security, because he's the head of the command of the armed forces, he can provide the pistols, and of course, eventually we shall see pistols everywhere. We have two issues here. Should we add more guns to what we already have? Because as an analyst and as a domestic security expert, I know that every gun that comes up, whether it is in the right hands, it also poses a certain level of danger on the surrounding people and even on the holder. So we are saying that should we add more guns? We have the LDUs who are reinforcing the police. We have the army who are complementing the police. We have 9/9s. We have so many other things. What do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? Because that's my key point. What is the exodus? Why do we think that traffic officers are in danger, and we believe that by giving them guns, it will be that by giving them guns, we will be securing their lives? Are they in danger? Let's look at the analysis. How many traffic officers have been attacked? How many traffic officers have been attacked? I'll discuss the most trending case of an attack on the police officer, which was done by an errant soldier. When I was on a certain TV and I was making an analysis of this case, and I said that yes, I could see the soldier was an errant one, of course, especially the major and his escorts were errant. But I'm also seeing the traffic officer failing to know how to deal with the situations. I've been in private investigation since 1994. And you know, in private investigation, we hardly carry arms. And we have done our work. It doesn't mean that when you're doing every security work, you should carry a gun. Because it will even distract you. It will make you to take wrong decisions. And eventually you'll harm people, you'll harm yourself. Or people will come to you by using force, excessive force on you, and eventually it will be a catastrophe. So we are saying, where is the exodus? Look at this case, man who was shot. As much as I blamed the army, and of course, if someone comes and behaves like that one, I just categorize the army officers who did that as thugs. But at the same time, I'm looking at a situation whereby people who are armed come and say, we are taking this vehicle. What does a traffic officer need to do? Once a vehicle you go to tow a vehicle, this is a .com kind of situation that you would have picked the scene, you would have photographed the vehicle, so you have picked your evidence intact, you have the number of the vehicle, and someone comes to use force on you to take the vehicle. What do you lose to let the vehicle go? Provided that you have the information. And besides, if you believe that the vehicle is being taken erroneously or wrongly, you have capacity to call for reinforcements. So, to a certain extent, I really feel sorry for this officer. But at the same time, he was a bit ambitious. Am I annoying you?
No.
Yes, I'm saying
no,
that,
you're not.
you know, when you are doing your work, you should use your IQ. You should switch on your brains. In situations like that. How have we been investigating murder cases? How have we been investigating robberies? Just because we tune our IQ to the highest. We know the hazards, we know the problems, we know what we face. Because as far as I'm concerned, the traffic officers on the roads are not in danger. I've seen another situation where a traffic officer jumped on a fleeing vehicle. I think it was around Ring Road. He jumped on the fleeing vehicle, and then border borders had to chase. Why do you risk yourself to that level when a vehicle has number plates, when we have cameras, when we can raise reinforcements in terms of army, in terms of SIA, in terms of civil spy vehicles, in terms of LDUs. So what is now? Eventually, we are going to have what we call traffic wardens who come from KCC. Shall we also give them guns? So what I'm saying is this: do we bother to deeply look at matters? We may have looked at many, people say, but in America, traffic officers have guns. You don't compare America to Uganda.
They're two totally different
countries. These are two different countries. In America, civilians are allowed to be armed. So in the process to counter them, every vehicle almost has a gun by virtue of their constitution and laws. Here, the arming is so minimal, especially with the public. The guns that are in the hands of the public are hardly misused. I don't even know why, to a certain extent, it was stopped. I think there was some kind of stopping. The guns that are mainly found in issues of crime are guns sometimes from security officers. So the biggest problem now is how should a traffic officer conduct himself to the extent that he will not be in danger. Should we put the whole public in danger, or should we teach the police officers what to do? Should we give them more communication capacity and better gadgets? And like several police officers in now, like in developed countries, if he's approaching a vehicle, he already has a camera on. He has a camcorder, it's called whatever.
Camcorder.
Yes, he has a camcorder on. So meaning that in case there is a confrontation, the command center of his area is informed and reinforcement is on the way. You have seen traffic officers. You have seen police in America pursuing maybe robberies. They can pursue a vehicle for 30 kilometers. Why don't they just open fire because they have guns? So are we trying to bring a product that we have well studied, or we are trying to be excited?
So Fred, in your own capacity, is it an issue of the fact that you think that traffic officers are not yet ready to actually be armed, or is it an issue that you think that they're just triggered, because on a number of occasions, police officers have reacted to different situations. If you find them in a bad mood, you probably have the worst day. But if you find them in a good mood, then you probably have no altercations with them. But we've also still had incidents where traffic officers are faced with motorists that do not know how to use the roads. And when they try to, let you know that what you're doing is wrong, many times we do not even listen. And then altercations come in.
So in this, okay, let's create a scenario that a motorist has become stubborn.
Exactly.
Do you pull a gun on him?
No.
Will you shoot him?
No.
What is the use of the gun? So it's a self-defeating project, because traffic officers are supposed to pick evidence of a vehicle. They're supposed to be the centers of guiding traffic. They're supposed to be the centers of picking road information. So they're the detectives of the road, on the road. They're the detectives on the road. They're supposed to pick as much information as possible. We have cameras. We have so many other things. And in case you suspect a situation that maybe you come across a robber, there may be situations where you come across a robber. There may be situations whereby he's stationed in a place which is not very safe. Maybe at night, on a highway. There are situations like that. Those are exceptional cases where he can carry an arm. But at the same time, he will, even if he carries an arm, it may not help him, because if there is a situation of a criminal will pick him first because he does not have reinforcement there. We would rather leave them as they are to save them. If you're going to give them guns, then, there are so many types of crime within. So many types of armed situations. So there are situations, because now think of a situation that look at the roads today. The biggest abusers of roads are government vehicles. All of them have a certain terrain. They have the right of way. Army vehicles will overtake at any location. So, if you arm a police officer, who is he going to discipline? Will he discipline an army officer who is putting on double hazard, double indicators, and is maybe shooting to go wherever he's going? We have very, very many vehicles in Uganda where you find a fatigue jacket, an army jacket. It's an indicator of don't touch me. Yeah. Don't touch me, I'm a big person. Now, the biggest road abusers in Uganda, I'm on record. Just go on Ginger Road, go on Massacre Road. All UGs are the most abusers. It's like they have a right of way. The government, the UCs, they have a right of way. So, not that it is illegal, but they're illegally using the road in the most indisciplined way you may think of. Now, these are the people mainly going to be confronted by a man carrying a small pistol, what we call a service gun. So, will he manage them? Or in a situation that he possibly pulls a pistol on a vehicle full of soldiers with many guns, will he be able to enforce, will he be able to be superior in that location that they oblige? Are we trying to abuse what we are supposed to build by maybe misunderstanding situations? If a traffic officer has been disrespected, because mainly it is disrespect, what should he do? Let's empower them to communicate. Let's empower them to be reinforced. Then bigger people with bigger guns, with bigger weapons can come in and pursue if they so wish. But if you're going to tell him that in case there is an abuse, in case there is maybe a traffic offense committed, pull your gun, then we are literally exposing them.
But drawing back to the conversation that we're having this morning, the president also came out and still made a statement and said that if the police officers cannot be armed, then they can actually be paired up with an armed guard. Do you think that this is something that we should adopt to? What's your take on it?
Yeah, depending on the situation, like I've told you, like think of a situation that at night you're putting a traffic officer around maybe Queen's where we have some dark spots whereby a situation can come and then there is a problem. Yes, if maybe it's in a dark location, not on like Kampala Road during the day, what does he need a gun for? Yes, there are situations where a gun is necessary, maybe as a kind of a reinforcement of a situation. But I think the gun should be the very last thing that comes in a traffic situation.
So looking at the incident that happened between the police officer and the army and the
irate soldier.
Yes. So would you say that having them tamed, do you think we should actually tame security personnel to respect one another? Because then it was an issue of one being superior and inferior, and you did highlight it at the beginning.
Yes, there are two things here. Soldiers, especially, everybody who carries a gun, we know we don't orient them, we don't teach them, we don't have schools of guiding people on how to carry guns. So in such a situation, you find that it is very easy to abuse a situation. It's very easy to abuse a situation. Because I'm looking at this situation like, you have a gun, and maybe you want something done, but these are very isolated cases. Even I don't know why we should look at it as a very big issue. I came across one of our young MPs. He had girls in his vehicle. It was a bit later, maybe around 10. Some of us old men move at night. Now, there was a situation, and I think he was a bit tipsy. This MP, I think he wanted to show the girl that he has a gun in the vehicle. Okay. He said, it's like, these are thieves. Get my gun. What is my gun? No, you're talking about your gun, and maybe the criminal... you look at the situation that guns are not a luxury. Guns are a necessity in some situations, but at the same time, we should learn how to deal with civil matters in a civil way. Yes, guns should literally come in at a situation of confrontation. When we are being trained, we are told that if you are to draw a gun, then you are likely to shoot. If you don't draw a gun for masape. You call it masape. To show off, because you'll be killed. This is what I'm saying. Now, we have some very young traffic officers who are very hot-tempered. I've seen them slapping motorists. I've seen, should a traffic officer slap a motorist? Now think of a situation that he has a pistol. What will happen? So he will put not only the motorist in danger, but he will put even the occupants. Think of a situation that someone is carrying his wife and his children, and there's a situation, a traffic situation, and the officer pulls a pistol, and this man tries to drive off. Well, how safe are the occupants in the vehicle? Let's analyze and have issues studied before we come to conclusion. Conclusions. Yes.
As a security analyst, so if we are saying that if it is to be passed that traffic officers should be armed with guns or pistols, what do you think? What would that mean for the security state of Uganda?
Of course, we're adding more guns into the system, and that has its own implications. Okay. You show the soldier who was showing people that have been killing. I killed someone here. I killed a couple there. I killed a couple there. Every gun, even in the hands of the most senior officer, poses a percentage of danger on him. Poses a percentage of danger on his household, poses a percentage of danger on his surroundings. Now, are we adding more guns is there necessity? What is the exodus? Like I started my conversation, is there a situation that is going overboard that we literally have to come up and say, no, enough is enough? I think we are losing so many traffic officers in this type of situation. Let's arm them. Two, if we arm them, what will be what are the expected results in security and issues of security? There's what we call dreaming. We have to dream about the whole situation and say, are we saving a situation, or we literally escalating it? Yeah.
So what do we need to put into consideration if we are thinking about actually arming these traffic officers? What do you recommend?
I would recommend that in situations, well, of course, like senior officers always carry pistols, and like in some cases, every police officer is entitled to a service gun, but I think we should all give them. There should be more kind of electronic means of dealing with the situations of road indiscipline. I.e. camera. We add more cameras. We create what we call quick reaction. That if a police officer believes that there is a situation that needs maybe an armed person, that he can be someone, or a vehicle can be someone. You know, a vehicle is a big thing that you cannot just pocket it and run away. If he has misbehaved here, I remember in the olden days when they used to have radio calls, you bypass police here, the radio, the shortwave radios. They say, please, there is a vehicle coming on this road and it has done ABCD, so that the other officers get prepared to deal with the situation they are prepared for. Yes.
So looking at our conversation, I do not know if you had the honors to watch it, the Twitter Jabs Part 1. Among the tweets that we actually received from the general public, because we posted this on our Twitter platform and we asked, is arming of traffic officers the way to go? And someone suggested that they could probably give them taser guns or pepper spray. Is that something that you think should be considered?
You know, we're dealing with a situation. I've not seen many cases of violence that erupts out of where a driver is attacking a police officer. It's a situation of indiscipline. He becomes adamant. He maybe he wants to drive away. So if he's driving away and,
and you have a pepper spray,
and you have a spray, why do you need spray? Because you'll knock you and you'll knock other people. If you tase him, if you tase a driver who is setting off, he will lose consciousness for some minutes, and then the vehicle will overrun any other person. So you're literally not solving a problem. You'd rather let him go, but use orthodox means of communication so that he's apprehended and so that he can face the law.
Okay.
And of course, there should be a situation that we also teach police traffic officers to appreciate situations. It may be that this person, yes, maybe has made a mistake, but maybe he has a sick person in the vehicle. Now you tase him, and what happens? There are situations where someone can become indisciplined on the road. So traffic officers should be parents. They should not be aggressors. If you're building aggressors, then you're in trouble.
From what I'm picking, it's an issue of discipline and understanding the situation at hand, because there could be an incident where someone is actually misusing the road because they're trying to rush someone to hospital. However, Fred, as we wind up this conversation, what are your last remarks in regard to arming of traffic officers in Uganda?
Yeah, I believe that let them be armed in situations where their lives, maybe depending on the location where they have been deployed, is maybe in danger. But in situations whereby we say that they should get confrontational and become forceful on the drivers, that is a no. It should not be. They are guides, they are parents on the road. We should not introduce road rage like the Americans who pull pistols on each other. We should allow us a civil situation of dealing with roads, because we are dealing with so many people. And there are better ways of disciplining such a person. That's why even I've suggested to government that some of the punishments to be given to poor road users should be sentence them to some hours of study. Some of these people just don't know. Yes, in China it works so well. Yes, they say you have been sentenced to 20 hours of study so that you get to understand the use of the road.
And how to use it.
Exactly. We're not trying to fight the society, our public. We're trying to parent them. And that's the work of government. Yes.
So from Mr. Fred Egesa, if you do not know how to use a road, you should be subjected to going back to school and understanding how to use a road and understanding the road rules and regulations.
Yeah, we put something in Nambole that every week they say 20 hours. You go for 3 hours and they keep on taking you because you're a child, you don't know how to use the road anyway. Should be taught. This, many of the accidents we are getting and the issues on the road are just because people are ignorant. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning on this conversation.
Thank you.
Well, that winds up the conversation that we had for you this morning on the Twitter Jabs. But if you know that you are a negligent and you do not know how to use the road as a road user, Mr. Fred Egesa says that you should be subjected to some few hours. You go back to driving school and understand how to use the road. Anyway, up next is a vegetable omelette that I made in the kitchen. You do not want to miss, so don't blink.